Welcome everybody to the most mind-blowing DVD series bodybuilding has ever seen. I'm Christian Boving, and you and I are about to get some of the most astonishing tips, tricks, and techniques from some of professional bodybuilding's biggest names. In this first DVD, Mission of Massive Proportions, we'll give you the 411 on what it takes to add mass to some of their best body parts. So as they say, it's time to shut up and lift. What better way to launch our mission of massive proportions than when the man who has some of the freakiest legs in bodybuilding, Branch Warren. Branch is going to lay it on the line about how he got some of the craziest wheels in the sport today. Branch, it looks like you have a pretty serious injury. What happened?
Yeah, well, I was preparing for the GNC show of strength, and it's about 5 weeks out. And came to the gym, I felt great that day. I'd warmed up, everything was going, one of those days you just feel strong. And I was ready to get it on, and I was doing some incline presses, real heavy, and after I warmed up, went heavy, and about the 4th or 5th rep, it just snapped.
So Branch, tell me the craziest leg workout you've ever had.
I was working out with 2 other guys. We started off with the leg extensions. I think we did 3 sets of 100 to start off the workout. And then from there we went on the leg press, did a couple heavy sets, and we ended up with a 90 rep drop set. After that, we went back to hack squats. I think we started with like 1 plate for 10 reps, 2 for 20 reps, 3 plates for 30 reps, all the way to 5 plates for 50 reps. By this point, everybody else already quit. They're like, screw this, we're done. And for me, it was just a matter of pride. I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to stop, to let this guy beat me. So I kept on and I finished it somehow. I don't know how much of that last set I did, but I finished it. And I think that's the first and only time in my life I actually couldn't stand. I got off the hack squat machine and actually fell down on the ground. I tried to get back up, and I fell back down again. So I want to throw up, man. I kept choking it back down. I didn't want to let this guy see me hurl, but
I want to throw up listening to this. Well, in true Team Muscle Tech fashion, we've enlisted the help of Jeremy Freeman to help Branch take us through his leg routine. Thanks for coming in, Jeremy.
Hi, Christian. Good to see you.
Good to have you here.
How you doing? Thank you.
So what's a typical leg workout for you, like sets, reps?
Typical leg workout, I'll start off with, after I warm up and stretch out real good, I'll start off with leg extensions, a couple light sets to get my knees loosened up good. I'm getting that with a full range of motion as I do all exercises. You start at the bottom position, extend your legs all the way up, get that full squeeze, great contraction, and then lower it back down. I perform this as I do all other exercises. Explosive on the way up, nice control on the way down. I usually do a little more reps on this than I would on the squat or the leg press. I get anywhere from 20 to 30 repetitions some days. Every workout's a little bit different. That way you keep the body guessing. It's about the first 10 or 15 reps, you get that real good burn going. You just keep on pushing it. I use the leg extensions primarily a shaping and a separation movement. It really brings out the detail and the cuts in your thighs. After performing my set, I'll sit there and rest for a little bit. Just the squats, minute to 3 minute rest. Catch my breath. And as Jeremy, the Mountain Freeman's about to demonstrate, get after the second set. Then we'll go to heavy squats. I do kind of a power routine, so we'll go real heavy on squats. Once you take the bar off the rack, get a wide stance, feet about shoulder width apart. I keep the bar high on my back, as Jeremy's demonstrating. That way it's more of a bodybuilding stance. It puts more emphasis on your quads as opposed to a powerlifting stance, which you'd have the bar a little bit low on your back. I take it all the way down. I'll take it below parallel to get that full range of motion, good stretch, and power it back to the top. My rep range is anywhere from 5 reps to 15 reps, depending on the day and depending on how I feel. And as you notice, he's going all the way down, all the way up, getting a good squeeze at the top. A lot of people, I think the biggest mistake they make with the squat is they don't go all the way down. You see a lot of guys in the gym, they go halfway down or a third of the way down, and you're really losing the best part of the exercise, which is getting all the way in the hole. After completing 5 to 15 reps, I'll put it back on the rack and catch a breath. I rest anywhere from a minute to 3 or 4 minutes in between a set until I catch my breath completely. After I recover completely from the set, then I'll return to the rack, usually with more weight, and do another set. Using the same technique, and generally I perform anywhere from 3 to 5 warm-up sets when I'm squatting until I get to my heavy weight. Once I hit the heavy weight, then it's just an all-out set to however many reps I can get on that particular day. and then from there we go to leg press. As Jeremy's about to demonstrate, I use a narrow stance, just as he's using. Once you release the weight from the rack, bring it all the way down. Once you're all the way down in the hole, you explode all the strength you can muster. Just as he demonstrates, I don't actually lock my knees out. I'll straighten my leg, lower back down in a controlled fashion, and then explode all the way back up again. Leg presses I perform anywhere from 12 to 30 repetitions. I change it up every workout, keep it different, keep the muscles guessing. And I think leg presses, along with squats, or some variation of squats, are always a staple of my leg workout. Nothing is better for building that teardrop than a leg press. It gives you that full, dense look in your lower quad. After performing the set to failure, I'll rack the weight, catch my breath. And again, I'll rest until I'm fully recovered. After a few minutes of rest, catch my breath, and we're gonna do it again. And from leg press, we'll go to hack squat. As Jeremy's about to demonstrate, keep your feet about shoulder width apart. Sink it all the way to the floor. I go below parallel. On most hack squat machines, you can take it all the way till it bottoms out and explode up hard and fast. Straighten your leg out. I don't lock it. Control it on the way down and power it back up. Hack squats, usually 2 hard working sets. Just as in all exercises, I'll take it to failure, especially on the second set. And as he's showing, it's very important you use proper form on this, as with any kind of exercise you have on your back. I always wear a belt to support my lower back to avoid injury. And repetitions, usually around 10 to 20 repetitions. Usually a little bit on the lower side for this because I like to go so heavy. Just be sure you always get your knees good warmed up. That's why I never do hack squats first, because it does put a lot of stress on your knee joint. And I prefer to do them at the middle or end of the workout. After performing a few repetitions, I'll rack the weight, catch my breath, rest a minute or two, stretch out a little bit, and I'll get back in the saddle for round 2. Whatever I have left, I'll put into this last set. This is the money set where you're going to grow. Just as in the first set, feet are shoulder width apart. I've done them since probably the first day I set foot in the gym. Over the years, I've worked up where I can move some pretty heavy weight. I think it's great for building overall quad development and also glutes. And then we'll finish up with some leg extensions, actual working sets. Keep the reps. We keep the reps. I don't have any kind of set, formula where we exchange it. Sometimes we do real high reps, 15, 20 reps, 30 reps. But, for squats, we usually keep it under 10.
And then hamstrings after that?
Hamstrings after that.
Right after that?
Right after that, I do them on the same day, yeah. I tried splitting them up in the past, but for me, it just works better to do them both at the same time.
So does this change at all for pre-contest preparation?
It doesn't change at all. The last couple of weeks, your strength drops off a little bit, and so you cut the weight back some just because you have to, but other than that, it stays the same.
What's the feeling you get like during the leg workout or after the leg workout?
I think legs is the most satisfying workout there is. Since I've been injured, I haven't been able to train the past 5-6 weeks. Working out is my drug. That's my natural high, and that's what I get up for in the morning. So, I've been kind of down the past 5-6 weeks, but the kind of feeling you get is just unless you do it, you can't relate to it. If you do it, you know what it's all about.
Yeah, but you can't wait to get back in there.
Oh man, I'm just chomping at the bit, ready to go.
Well, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christian.
If anyone knows how to build a barn door back, it's Johnny Jackson. Arguably one of the strongest men in bodybuilding, when Johnny isn't on the competitive bodybuilding stage, he's deadlifting over 800 pounds on the powerlifting stage. So Johnny, is it pretty safe to say that your powerlifting background has helped you add some serious mass to your back?
Definitely. It helped me acquire a lot of thick and dense muscle over the last few years after turning pro.
Johnny, for your back routine, do you ever train your back and traps together, and if so, why?
No, I don't. I train my back alone, actually, and I try to isolate and focus just on back which I do on Fridays. That's my back day, so I try to focus on just back, like I said, on that day.
Would you skip a day and then do traps, or when would you follow up that?
Well, I actually don't do traps. I haven't done them in the last few years. Of course, they get work when I do shoulders, when I do upright rows and different movements like that. I'll get some work done, with my traps, but I don't isolate traps at all anymore.
So what would a specific back workout be for you, like the rep range, the amount of sets, what you do?
Okay, I usually start out with pull-ups first, or chin-ups. Usually do 3 sets of 15, then I'll go over to the deadlift. I'll do 1 warm-up set, and I'll do 15 to 20 reps on the warm-up set. Then I'll do 3 work sets, or 4 work sets, and about 5 to 6 reps. Then I'll go over to lat pull-downs, and I'll do a warm-up set there, and perform 3 work sets, about 10 to 15 rep range, depending on the weight. Then I'll go over to seated lat row, and I'll perform 1 warm-up set, and then 3 work sets, again, 10 to 15 rep range, depending on the weight.
So now how would your training change for, say, pre-contest preparation?
Okay, for pre-contest, I won't use as much heavy weight, and I'll add in more reps. Like I said, I'll do 10 to 15 rep range during off season, but during pre-contest and contest, I'll go up to 20. I'll stay with 20 on each exercise. Besides that, I'll stop deadlifts, the only exercise I won't do during pre-contest and contest, because losing the body fat and losing the water, you need that to help cushion the joints while you're performing the exercise, that deadlift exercise. So I'll cut that exercise out, but I'll perform all the other exercises around 20 rep range.
So you feel that your powerlifting background does give you an edge when it comes to this standout body part you obviously have?
Well, definitely. Like I said, the last few years has definitely helped me accumulate a lot of thick, dense muscle. You know, and if you see every Mr. Olympia, pretty much it's one of the best body parts of the back. So, you know, definitely powerlifting background definitely helps, you know, my look on stage.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you include a lot of intensity training techniques whenever you train?
Well, you have to be intense the whole time. I have to be intense the whole time, regardless if it's off season or pre-contest or contest, when you're lifting as heavy as I do. So intensity is a must when I step into the gym and get ready to lift.
But when you're really intense, you're not going to lose your concentration though either.
Right, correct. And then it'll help you during performing the exercise. So you're staying a lot tighter to perform the exercise, so there's less risk of injury.
All right. If you had to pick one favorite mass building exercise for your back, which one would it be?
It'll definitely be the deadlift. I just love that exercise. I feel so much stronger when my whole body's working together and performing one exercise. I feel like I can pick up whatever I put my hands on, and usually I do, but you know, that's another story.
What about contests coming up? We're going to see you on the powerlifting stage anytime soon?
Of course, I'll never let that go. I love bodybuilding, but I also love powerlifting. There's no other feeling than grabbing some heavy weight and just perform it, getting it done, you know, having a legal lift. You know, it feels awesome. There'll be a powerlifting contest in Round Rock, Texas that I'll be there, and I'm gonna try to total of 2,400. That'll be my best total yet, so pray for me.
Man, my fingers are crossed. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
One of the most highly recognized bodybuilders in the sport today is Chris "The Real Deal" Cormier. Chris is known as one of the gifted bodybuilders who are blessed with impressive size as well as symmetry. Chris, there's no doubt about it. No bodybuilder's touching you in the side chest pose.
Damn right.
Well, then I'd say we've done enough talking. Let's get down to some chest building with The Real Deal. You're known for the incredible thickness and width of your chest. What does it typically measure?
Well, typically it's probably going to measure about 54 inches in the off season, and then when I'm in competition shape, usually around 52.
That's massive. And when you're training your chest, do you prefer high reps, low reps? How come?
Well, typically, if I say I want to build mass in my chest, then you need volume. Volume, you need either a lot of reps, but also you need to keep in mind you need to push those muscle fibers, so you got to use a high number when it comes to the poundages also. So you can see me working out with 405 on the incline and doing possibly 10 to 15 reps at a time. And you know, that's back in my earlier years, I was even pushing up to 5 plates for 5 reps.
And you don't see people like training like that anymore.
No, not me.
So can you give the viewer a good idea of a great chest routine?
Since people are susceptible to having flat upper pecs, I would say incline press first, and I would do 4 sets with 8 to 12 repetitions, followed by flat bench with 4 sets to 8 to 12 repetitions. And then I would finish that movement with cable crossovers, and that's going to give the chest a nice shape and fullness. And it's a finishing exercise, and you're going to do 4 sets with 8 to 12 repetitions also.
So by the 4th set, would you say you're using the maximum weight you can use, or should you try to push beyond the maximum weight, or what would you recommend for that? Or somebody trying to get bigger, obviously.
Well, you're gonna use higher repetitions as far as you want higher repetitions, but you also want to use heavy weight. The heavy weight is going to give you those deep down muscle fibers, the rebuilding, the tearing down process, and you're going to bring that to having your most intense workouts. The high intense workouts is going to give you the size. You want to get the weight as high as you want to get it to. Sometimes some people want to pyramid down, but I would like to just finish with a high volume and a high poundages, and that's going to give you the nice size that you need for championship chest.
Now, would this change for pre-contest preparation?
Pre-contest is exactly the same as off-season. I feel like if you go lighter in poundages, then your body's gonna dissipate as far as size-wise, because you need to keep pushing those fibers the same way you did in the off-season.
And I've seen you training. You almost train as heavy as a powerlifter trains.
Yeah, that's been my motto: heavyweight and high repetitions.
It's one of the things you're known for. So when you're training chest, what angles do you find most beneficial and why?
I like the incline press first because that builds mass from shoulder to shoulder, and for myself, it's like the upper body squat. With the amount of weights that I use, if you're training with 405 to anything up to almost 500 pounds, that's an awful lot of weight for having between this angle, the 45-degree angle that I use. So I've been finding that it's been adding a lot of mass, the type of poses that I use, the side chested that I perform. I'm usually like one of the best guys up there at that because of that reason.
A lot of people think that the upper chest is harder to build than the lower chest, so that's, they start with the weakest point first, that way they can push the most weight up there and then gradually move down into the flat and into the fly. Do you believe that?
Yes, I do. I believe in hitting it from all areas. If you start with the top first, work your way down to the bottom, then to the outsides, and then work your way towards the middle with the close grip bench press, then I feel like that's the best way to build a championship chest.
Just hit every fiber. Can you describe the feeling of a pump during a typical chest workout?
Well, at my best workouts, I've always liked to try to describe it as you can almost feel like someone's inside your body pulling your rib cage apart. One foot on one rib cage and prying your rib cage straight apart. That's been like my best pumps, and it feels like someone's inside of me doing that.
Do you think strength plays a big factor when you're trying to pack on a lot of muscle on your chest?
If you're pushing those deep, deep muscle fibers with a lot of weight and you're given no choice but to tear down, repair, and then grow, then you need the heavy pounders for yourself. It's not necessarily what I push, but what you can push for yourself. I would say you need to push that chest as far as you can take it, and that's heavy poundages and a lot of reps.
And that's how you build one of the best chests in the business. It's been a real pleasure learning your secrets, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's never hard to miss the massive shoulders of Jay Cutler when he enters the room. This #1 contender for the Mr. Olympia title is all about mass. Jay, your shoulders are like bowling balls. You gonna show us how to work them today?
I guess we got some shoulders to punish.
Here we go. Jay, you're known for your insane shoulder size. What kind of reps, sets, your whole exercise routine, what do you do to keep them that way?
Well, basically I followed the same routine since the beginning, and I was blessed with genetically large shoulders. In the beginning, that was the best body part I had. So from the beginning, I basically stuck with the core exercise, the shoulder press, whether it be with barbells or dumbbells, and also incorporated some dumbbell movements with side laterals, either seated or standing, rear delt machine flies. But mainly staying with the bent over rear lateral with dumbbells to really focus on the rear of the shoulders. But you know, I'm known for my shoulder size on stage and give the illusion of a lot wider than my bone structure is. So it's very, very important for professional bodybuilding. For the reps, I keep it about 8 to 10 repetitions each set, or basically to failure. I believe to take everything almost to failure, but it's always falls in that 8 to 10 range. And basically 3 sets per exercise is a recommended. I do 3 or 4 sets usually, depending on the day. I work with my body, try to listen to my body. If I'm overly tired or whatnot, I might cut back a little bit, but definitely perform 3 sets per exercise and at least focus for 9 sets total, 3 different movements for the body part.
And obviously, if you're going to failure, you're using damn heavy weight.
Well, yeah, to most people I use pretty heavy weight, but to me, I'm always trying to, of course, work my way up in weights. It's never enough for me.
Now, does this change for pre-contest preparation training?
I don't really change too much when I diet for the contest, but like I said, some days I'm overly tired and I can't perform as well, so my weights might drop down a little bit, but my reps always fall in the 8 to 10 range, but the weights I use vary. And like I said, you know, I switch from barbells to dumbbells for like the pressing movements, and that for me is an adjustment in the weight also because it's a totally different movement.
Right. You do that just to stay safer.
Yeah, and I like variety. I mean, it's great to have a good variety in your routine. Always trying to hit the different angles with your shoulders and not leave anything to chance, because of course I'm trying to be the best and win the Mr. Olympia.
Do you include many intensity training techniques in your shoulder training routine?
I do several different things. I mean, usually for the contests, I'll perform a few drop sets, usually only 1 exercise, and I prefer to do these with the seated side laterals. With the dumbbells, I do 1 set, maybe to 8 to 10 repetitions is with the heaviest weight. Then I might drop down to half that weight and perform 6 or 7 more repetitions. It varies. But mainly supersets like that, where I drop down, drop sets, just trying to keep blood volume. And of course, that's what I'm going for, and keep the blood moving through there, and of course, fatigue the shoulders.
Do you ever do the pyramid sets?
I do pyramid the weights. I do definitely 1 warm-up, which I actually call feel sets, and that allows the muscle to get a little blood in there, allows the muscle to loosen up a little bit so you can prevent injury, but also a pump muscle is going to get better workout anyway, so I work my way up in weights, usually 1 feel set, and then I move right up to the working sets, which usually is the 3 sets.
Now, do you stretch in between each set? Stretch before, after?
I don't do as much stretching. I tend to do that after the workouts. I usually spend about 10 minutes each day, usually when I do my ab movements, stretching, and I also do deep tissue therapy at least once a week, and that allows my muscles to stay quite flexible for the size that I have.
Right. Do you prefer machines or free weights for your shoulder training? And whichever answer it is, why?
Well, I prefer free weights. Okay, that's always been kind of the core movement for me, and it allows more balance, and I think it puts more strain on the muscle. And also, I prefer actually dumbbells over barbells because each shoulder's working isolaterally when you use dumbbells, and that gives more balance to the body, and one side may be weaker than the other, so you may get some more growth on one side. With dumbbells you don't get that. With barbells, if one side is stronger than the other, it's difficult to make the adjustment.
Right.
But I'll use the hammer machines. A lot of these machines work on the isolateral movement, plate-loaded machines. I don't really do much selectorized equipment with the pin in the stack. I prefer to just stay with the free weights and basically be the hardcore guy, I guess.
That's good. What about power training? Do you include any power training techniques in your shoulders?
I'm not really a power trainer. I train pretty heavy, but I focus more on blood volume, okay? I'm not one to do anything that's gonna risk injury, and my body's not built to do, power cleans, that kind of thing. I think, as a bodybuilder, I'm just trying to focus strictly on isolating the deltoids, shoulders for each workout that I'm doing. So I'm not gonna put a movement that's gonna incorporate all the other body parts that I've been, training all week long into the movement and risk overtraining and also injury.
Yeah, of course.
I'd rather do something on a bench where I'm kind of locked down into a machine, or dumbbells, something like that.
Do you include any movements that you would consider unorthodox in your shoulder training routine?
I prefer to do something a little different with side laterals. I usually use a cable machine, and where most people use the cable machine towards the front of their body to come out, I prefer to do it behind the back, which allows more stretch on the deltoid. It definitely is more effective that way. That way you're not cheating, you're not trying to bend your knees to get the weight up. You really can't cheat when it's behind your back, and it really stretches the tissue out to allow a lot of blood in the muscle.
One arm at a time.
Yeah.
Sounds tough.
Yeah, it's a little awkward at first, but I've stayed with this. And of course, I've built the best shoulders in bodybuilding, so how can you argue?
We gotta somehow name that, what is it, the J. Cutler arm raise?
Oh, we can do that if you want.
Word on the street is that Jay is somewhat of a bowler, with good reason. He's got some serious bowling ball-sized delts. Thanks for the lesson.
Till next time, my friend.
Till next time. Mighty Matt Duvall is known for having some of the strongest arms in bodybuilding. I'd say he's got some of the biggest, judging by the size of those loaded weapons. Man, I'm sure you get asked 100 times a day. What do those things measure, man?
22, closer to 24 when they're pumped.
Some people don't even have waists that big.
Very true.
Very true. Matt, that's a pretty mean scar on your arm. What happened?
May of 2003, I was traveling home, trying to write some things down as I was driving, struck a vehicle in front of me, ended up rolling a commercial-sized vehicle onto my arm. My vehicle was dragged on the pavement for quite a distance. Most of the injuries to my arm were extremely superficial. I'm actually lucky to be here, so everything healed up and I'm doing all right.
I'd say everything healed up pretty well. You're known to have some of the biggest guns in the business. What exactly do you do for those?
Now that I've turned pro and my goal is to more refine the muscle as opposed to just building, I've gone to a higher volume type of training, utilizing 4 or 5 exercises, sometimes as many as 100 reps in one set. This is something that not a lot of people understand, but for me it's been beneficial. So just to put it short, just a high volume training, lots of blood in that muscle.
Does anything change for pre-contest preparation?
Yes, pre-contest, because as you approach a contest, you're bringing your nutrients down, certain nutrients, whether you're lowering your protein or lowering your carbohydrates. I have to be aware of my body's ability to heal. So there's times where I can't do as many of those, 150 rep sets. I just have to be aware of it, listen to my body.
Yeah. So what would be the most weight you've ever done for a bicep curl?
Dumbbell curls, the most I ever did was actually in a photo shoot for Muscle Tech. We did a 140-pound set of dumbbells. Barbell curl, thinking back, I used to do curl contests, and I want to say there was a time where I did over 275 pounds, but it was a cheat curl. I mean, I wasn't throwing the weight up, but it was heavy, enough to cause me to strain a bit.
It's unbelievable. What's the feeling you have? Like during the arm workout, you're looking in the mirror, you're massive. Is there a feeling you get before, during, after?
Sure. When we were young, when most of us started training, biceps, big arms, triceps is the one thing everybody wanted. So even from a young age, genetically, I just responded. So it was this great feeling, whether it was in high school, now beyond that, college, pro athlete. It's a great feeling to have a big set of arms. Lots of guys out there, they start doing arm training so that they can attract the opposite sex better. Me, it was just a great feeling because I got respect. Whether it was on a football field, a basketball court, track and field, people noticed a big set of arms and it said power. So whether I'm training as a bodybuilder or before that, just in other sports I did, it translated power to people, and it's a good feeling to know that other people see the benefit in your training.
It doesn't hurt that the girls like it.
Exactly.
What's the most brutal arm workout you've ever had?
It would be a toss-up. There's two. One would apply to an arm routine I did years ago as a teenager. It was a routine that actually took all day. Some people have a hard time understanding this, but it produced results that, again, most people can't fathom. I was in a gym all day long, eating, training, sleeping, but in the end, I was able to put a full inch on my arms. Now, the one that I would say that it isn't close to is what I do currently, which is these drop sets that can be 50 to 100 reps in one set. A set can be 5 minutes long, The average guy is going to be on the floor losing his lunch, but because I want to continue to develop my arms and not just have the world's strongest arms, but perhaps the universe, whatever you want to call it, you know, we'll go as far as we can. I try to go each workout just a little bit past the other. So if it wasn't that workout I did as a teenager, it would be what I'm currently doing today, which is again just that high volume approach.
You come from a powerlifting background, right?
I do.
Does this play a role in the way you train your arms today?
No, because at some point you have to leave your ego. You know, there's that saying, leave your ego at the door, because it's only going to lead to injury. As we get older, and as I was able to develop a larger muscle, meaning I developed the muscle belly to a certain extent, you have to be aware of your tendons, ligaments, attachments. So if I'm trying to always throw up heavy weights, low reps, eventually I'm going to get hurt. So I try to take my powerlifting mentality out of trying to be a pro bodybuilder.
Are bodybuilding's strongest arms going to hit the stage anytime soon?
Instead of being on just a bodybuilding stage, I will be the first professional bodybuilder to compete in 2 professional venues, one of which, professional bodybuilding, I've done before. I will now be undertaking and going into the world of professional wrestling. NWA TNA Wrestling has offered me the chance, actually chance of a lifetime, to, for the next 8 weeks, go on a training program where people see this evolution, they see this process, they see me develop into a character that they're not used to seeing. Bodybuilding you see in the gym. Professional wrestling, you'll have the opportunity on a weekly basis to see me not only in a gym training, keeping my arms big, strong, what have you, you'll also get a chance to see me on a certain level act out whatever character they develop for me. So all the fans, I hope, will indeed tune in, watch me as I not only flex, train, grow stronger and bigger, but as I said earlier, break hearts, break minds, break jaws, whatever you want, I'm here to please. Thanks a lot.
I'm sure you're going to kick butt on that stage as well. Thanks for the session, Matt.
Thank you.
When it comes to training that adds mass, nobody knows it better than Charles Glass. Just ask one of his many disciples. While not a man who likes to give away his secrets, Charles has granted us the exclusive opportunity to get some body part specific training instruction to build mass. Here to help Charles demonstrate is King Kamali.
The first tip for the day we're going to give is on hack squats. And one of the traditional ways to do it is always have your back against the pad. But King and I are going to do something a little different. We're going to put a little twist with it. What we're going to do is try to put the weight, the pad rather, on the back side of his trap, and we're going to slowly turn the feet in. So we put more pressure on the outside of the quad. All right, King. If you notice you're not all the way back in, you want to keep your chest up in the air. Chest up. Pads right. All right. I need your feet a little higher, up, and slightly turned in. Okay, here we go. Going for 10 reps. Arms are folded in the front, so that way it keeps your pec up, chest up, back straight. There you go. Down a little deeper. There you go. If you notice, it's a very, very fluid movement. Everything goes up and down in a straight plane. There you go. Good. There you go. Make sure the knees don't collapse in. They got to stay out the whole time. Okay, now we're going to lock it back in place. All we're trying to do is build more outside sweep on the quads. That's it. The second tip of the day is going to be for back, and King and I are going to perform a dumbbell bent over row. Traditionally, it's done with the barbell, but we're going to do it with the dumbbell simply because we can get more range of motion. All right, first of all, King's going to strap up, and the reason he's using straps so he can hold on with his grip better. This way you can use heavier and heavier weights. What we're going to do is bend at the waist, keeping the chest up, using more of the erectors and the back. Here we have the outside lat working. If you notice, the erectors are nice and tight. Everything's contracting all the way across, from the rhomboids, rear delt, rear trap. Yep. There you go. Easy done. Try to always have a strap or something so that you can hold on when you're trying to use heavy weight. It's very important. The next tip for the day would be for shoulders or delts. What we're going to do is called a front raise. All right, we use a plate for this, okay? Here we go. We're going to have King grab it toward the bottom part of the plate, and we're going to raise it about eye level. So here we go. Nice, slow movement. This is putting all the pressure on your front delt. If you notice, the pressure's right here, and that's right where you want to have it, on the delt. Try to get anywhere from 10 to 12 reps. Nice, slow movement. That's it. Nice and easy. This next exercise is called a hammer curl. What we're going to do is bring that wrist and the arm across the body with a little tweak of the wrist. Okay, the reason we're doing this is so we can bring out more of the brachialis so that you can see it make the whole arm a lot thicker. Here we go. Once again, we're using straps. This is so we have that powerful grip. There you go, bringing it right across the body. That's it. If you notice, you're also going to hit that peak of the bicep just a little bit. You also notice that he's leaning into the pull. Makes it a lot easier for you to handle the weight. That's it. Way to go, King. Our next exercise is going to be for the chest, and what we're going to do is called a dumbbell fly. This is a dumbbell fly, not a dumbbell press. So what we're going to do is lock our arms in position and let it go out smoothly. We have our palms facing out, okay? Here we go. Don't try to go heavy because it's a bad move. Once we lock it in position, our arms are going to go out to the side, straight out, lock it. All right, and you press it back with the pec. There you go, nice and easy. Good. Try to stretch a little bit more. That's it. Press it in. Good. It's right across the pec all the way to the shoulders. That's it. Let's move. Come on. Press it in. Good. Squeeze at the top. Squeeze at the top. There you go. 2 more. Just get 2 more here. Come on. Nice and easy. Good. All right. If you notice, his arms are nice and straight. Good. This exercise is best performed when your arms are straight. Otherwise, you end up doing what you call a fly press, which is not what we want to do here. We want to build the upper pec only, okay? This final exercise is going to be for the triceps, and what we're going to do is call a seated dumbbell overhead extension, okay? And the exercise is performed by having the arms straight up overhead, slightly going behind the head, extending and twisting out, okay? Here we go. As you notice, his arms are up straight. He's going to drop them behind his head, going to come up in the air and twist. There you go. Everything's done for the triceps. We're working toward the outer head of the tricep. Good. There you go. That's perfect. Nice and straight. Even pace. Keep the movement going. There you go. 2 more. Last one. All right. That's good, King. What you want to do is try to always make sure your arms are straight and they're dropping behind the head. At the end, you want to always make sure you lock out at the top, okay? And with the little twist, which is going to put more pressure on the outside head of the tricep.
Good afternoon, class, and welcome to Mass Building 101. Your professor today will be none other than the world-renowned training guru, Charles Glass. Famous for his unique and specifically targeted training routines, Charles will be joined by Ken Clement, Manager of Scientific Affairs for the Muscle Tech Research Team, to provide input on how serious mass is built. Thanks, guys, for coming in. The first question is to you, Mr. Glass. Are you a big believer in powerlifting movements for bodybuilding?
Yes, of course, because you need to have that inner strength, the power to push. And the only way you're going to get that is through powerlifting.
So then strength is a really important part of building mass then?
Yes, by all means. Without the strength there, how could you move the weight? You need the weight to move to grow.
So do you believe in doing more exercises for lagging body parts, more repetitions? What's the science behind that?
If you're trying to build size, you can't do a lot of repetitions because all you do is burn off muscle. You want to be able to gain and sustain that muscle long periods of time, so you want to cut the reps and the sets back.
So then intensity would be a really important component to mass building then?
Always. If you don't have intensity there, how can you get anything out of your workout? Because normally what happens, the intensity not there, you have the tendency to back off, and back off, and you don't want to do that. You want to try to increase all the time.
That makes sense. What methods do you utilize to increase your intensity?
The way I try to increase intensity is through push press, power press, and also I try to utilize the tempo of the workout.
Thanks, Charles. So Ken, next question to you. How many calories a day would you recommend for a mass building diet?
Well, really it depends on the body weight of the individual. A general rule of thumb would be to, in addition to the amount of calories it takes to sustain your body weight, add an additional minimum of 2,000 calories per day to really kick you into mass building mode.
So then what vitamins would be particularly important to mass building?
The main important vitamins would be vitamin C, vitamin E, B vitamins such as vitamin B6, in addition to vitamin cofactors such as lipoic acid.
Then what kind of fats are the best or the healthiest for mass building? And what kind of foods would those fats be found in?
Well, both the best and healthiest sources would be the monounsaturated fats, the polyunsaturated fats, and these are primarily derived from foods such as almonds, avocados, natural peanut butter perhaps, fish oil. These are all great sources of healthy fats.
So in your opinion, what is the best source of protein to have after a workout and why?
After a workout, ideally you'd like a fast release protein. This allows your blood to be filled with amino acids, so these amino acids can quickly be delivered to your skeletal muscle.
So the next apparent question would have to be, what's the best type of carbohydrate to have after a workout and why?
Post-workout, you'd like simple carbohydrates, simple sugars that allow proper glycogen replenishment along with perhaps an insulin spike to increase creatine retention.
So what's the difference between the high glycemic index carbs and the low glycemic index carbs?
Well, simply put, glycemic index, first off, makes reference to the change in blood glucose after the carb is consumed. So high glycemic carbohydrates spike blood glucose and subsequently insulin, whereas low glycemic carbohydrates, there is less of an alteration in blood glucose.
So at what times of the day would you consider each type?
Generally, it's best to consume low glycemic carbs throughout the day, while post-workout, consume an adequate amount of high glycemic carbohydrates.
Now you're really famous for using these unorthodox training routines and methods for building up mass and getting ready for contests and all of these things. Explain the scientific approach to that. Why do you do that specifically?
One of the primary reasons for utilizing those methods is because I try to work on just that muscle group, not a lot of other muscles kicking in. I want to work that muscle in particular.
A lot of the bodybuilders that train with you say that your routines that you take them through are the most fatiguing and hardcore routines that they've ever done. What makes your routine so different than everybody else's?
If you're working a single muscle rather than a group of muscle, then that muscle fatigues a lot faster because the other muscles are not kicking in. Anytime you have if you're doing say shoulders and you're using all the parts of the shoulders, then it's not going to work as well. You'll be strong throughout the whole workout, and I try to single that muscle out.
So that's the Charles Glass method, because I mean for years, you hear Charles Glass is the best trainer in the world. Is that your secret, or do you have a certain secret that you do that you can tell us about?
Well, there's no secret to anything. It's just you try to work with what the guy gives you, and you try to build it as much as possible.
In your opinion, what's the most productive weekly split for mass building?
There's no good system because each guy's different that you work with. So I try to combine a muscle group that I'm not fatiguing the day before. So if I'm working shoulders this day, I would definitely not work chest the next day. So I try to split them up a little further. And I always try to work like a 2 day on, 1 day off so that the person's body can get a rest before going again.
So I guess the ultimate question would be, is there such a thing as the perfect workout?
No, there's no perfect workout. There are always good workouts and better workouts, but no perfect workout.
Interesting answer. So is performing each set to failure a must for mass building?
I think that once you start trying to go to failure each set, that you start taking away from the muscle rather than building anymore. Because think of this, you go into failure each and every single set you're going to do, your muscles tend to decrease and start to lock up on you a little bit because the more lactic acid is in the body. You want to try to keep that lactic acid down so that your body can grow and expand more.
So how many grams of protein would you recommend for each one of your meals, and would it stay the same throughout the day?
The best way to figure that out would be to follow the general rule of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight at minimum. Now for mass building, obviously this would translate into a lot more. Once this is figured out, you can divide this into how many meals, typically 6 per day, and then you have your number of how much protein you may require per meal.
What are the perfect bedtime nutrients for supporting mass building while you sleep?
The best source would be both a fast and slow release protein. So something, a good whey protein before bed, along with perhaps cottage cheese, which delivers a more sustained release of amino acids from the protein source.
And what role does fiber play in a mass building diet?
Fiber is really important to maintain the health of the gastrointestinal tract. In a mass building program, you're typically consuming more calories, therefore you want an efficient waste removal process.
Well, gentlemen, this is one class I'm glad I didn't skip. Thanks for coming in. Class dismissed.
Thank you.
That about wraps up the first DVD in this incredible series. When it comes to the mission of massive proportions, it's safe to say, mission accomplished. Don't miss out on the next exciting DVD in this series, Only the Strong Survive. This DVD picks up where Mission of Massive Proportions left off and gives you the information you need to know about improving your strength and power. We brought back a lot of the pros from this DVD. I'm Christian Boving signing off, and I'll see you in episode 2. There's a lot of buzz around the industry about nitric oxide. Rumor has it that nitric oxide supplements are dead. While ordinary nitric oxide may be ancient history, its effects haven't been forgotten and are the basis of a breakthrough new muscle tech product. With me again is Ken Clement, Manager of Scientific Affairs for the Muscle Tech Research Team. Welcome back, Ken.
Thanks, Christian.
So now tell me, what exactly is nitric oxide?
Well, nitric oxide is a gaseous substance produced by the body. Now, when it is released, there is a reaction to the smooth muscle cells. These cells relax, which in turn allow more blood to flow through the vascular system and in turn engorge skeletal muscle fibers with blood. This is what creates a pump.
So then where would nitric oxide actually come from?
The most important source of nitric oxide are endothelial cells. These cells line the vascular system.
So then what would cause the nitric oxide to be released?
One is the availability of the nitric oxide precursors, like arginine. Another important component in nitric oxide release are the enzyme activity. Enzymes are referred to as NOS enzymes. These are nitric oxide synthase.
So what does nitric oxide actually do once it's in the body?
Well, once it's in the body and actually released, smooth muscle cells dilate. This leads to increased blood flow to the skeletal muscle.
Why exactly would bodybuilders be interested in nitric oxide?
Because nitric oxide is going to dictate how much blood you actually can get to your skeletal muscles. You'd want increased nitric oxide production to relax the smooth muscle cells and in turn engorge the skeletal muscle with blood.
So now what does a pump have to do with nitric oxide?
Well, the pump is initiated by nitric oxide release. Now, the amplitude of the pump is determined by two factors. One is how much nitric oxide actually gets released, and two, how long it's actually in the blood for.
So then does nitric oxide actually have any shortcomings then?
It does. Nitric oxide in the body has a very short half-life, meaning that its actual activity is very, very limited. It's within seconds, nitric oxide is gone.
So Ken, how can I increase my own nitric oxide production?
Great question. Let me show you. Okay. There's a variety of mechanisms you can actually increase nitric oxide production. One way is to actually increase arginine itself. You can do this by providing arginine or arginine precursors. The enzyme, remember the NOS enzyme, nitric oxide synthase. This is the important enzyme that converts arginine into the important component, nitric oxide itself.
So then how will this help with my pump?
Well, when nitric oxide is released, smooth muscle cells dilate. When they dilate, they open up, allowing more blood to flow through them. More blood then makes it to the skeletal muscle, and you get a muscle pump.
So at the end of the day, what makes Pump Tech different than the other nitric oxide supplements on the market?
Great question. I'll show you. Most other products on the market, nitric oxide products, only work on one pathway. All they do is provide arginine to convert to nitric oxide. What Pump Tech does is, in its AAKG Tech blend, there's two forms of arginine that make up this blend: arginine hydrochloride and arginine alpha-ketoglutarate. So there's two driving ingredients to make this whole mechanism work. There's also citrulline and L-aspartic acid. Now these ingredients are important because they help arginine recycle itself. So nitric oxide can in turn generate more arginine for production. You remember the nitric oxide synthase enzyme and how it's critical in the conversion of arginine to nitric oxide. Key ingredients within pump tech being pycnogenol and ginseng. Ginseng, standardized for ginsenosides, that's the active component within the ingredient, work to amplify NOS activity and further generate nitric oxide production.
So Pump Tech has a lot more ingredients than anybody else by far and away.
Yes, by far.
So Ken, thanks for coming in today. I really learned a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was great.